Hello, friends. It's you, Giuliano, and it is the 27th of May, 2022. And I'm here with another weekly roundup. We're going to look at a bunch of altcoins against Bitcoin and a couple of them against USD, if that's all the data we have. But we're going to be checking out altcoins and looking at the general energy of the market, the flow of the market, the movement of the market, the waves of the market through a whole bunch of different charts that we've been tracking. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to be here and take a look at where we are at. So I think the first thing we're going to do actually is go to Luna, because that has had a significant drop. And this is an exception to the rule where there is just an absolute deadening of the chart. And I think we are now done, at least with this data, with this chart. And then once something else comes out, that'll be there. But I think this is our last time for Luna on this stream for a while, I think. So RIP to this Luna chart. It was an interesting watch here. You had the topping formation and then the immediate TKO. All right, not TKO, we're just like a direct knockout, isn't it? Okay, next, we're gonna get a sense of what's happening with the rest of them because, well, let's go to Ethereum. Let's just start with Ethereum and say Ethereum is showing us signs of weakness, finally. I mean, there was already signs of weakness up here we were talking about before. This type of action was weak, and then it broke down, and yeah, finally this uptrending support has been broken, and now we are made it at the Ichimoku cloud. Ethereum is at the Ichimoku cloud now, and we'll see what it does against BTC. It was compared previously to BNB, and the difference was that BNB is still at an all-time high formation, whereas Ethereum is at a lower high formation than previous all-time high. So yeah, that's an interesting consideration at this point. And you have a general downtrending resistance there, but I don't think that that's where we're at just yet. Right now, we are at Ichimoku cloud territory. And so momentum-wise and wave-wise, what is this potential against BTC price charts? Let's take a closer look. This is a big time frame. This is an all-time time frame on the weeklies. So yeah, we really are looking for this horizontal level to hold, which corresponds to this type of price action here. Resistance, support, important turning levels here. Beyond that, then you have this 200 period moving average at the 0.4 level. Okay, so yeah, we're going to see what happens. I think, you know, if Bitcoin is showing anything and the altcoins are showing anything, I think it's more potential for downside. The difference here will be, can Ethereum hold this general level here? And at that point, then it can be strong enough, and this can be a reaccumulation. Otherwise, if we're coming below this cloud, I don't know if this 200 period will hold. So at that point, yeah, that will be an interesting story. So weakness at this point, or at these lower ends, and I think the price does test in the cloud here at some point here. And if you look here, the cloud gets 2023 right here. So that's another 6 months right here. So I think the general energy of the market is 3 to 6 months is easily enough for altcoins to be, bleeding against Bitcoin, for altcoins to be weak against Bitcoin. And so if you want further thoughts about Bitcoin, check out my previous video. That's where I give a more detailed time and price analysis for the short term, at least. Longer term, I think everybody is generally bullish, and so am I. But until, for the next 3 to 6 months, that can be the case. And then for altcoins, I mean, we'll look at the other ones, but they could have either corrective sideways or down moves until into 2023. So when we look at these types of moves here, these energy metrics of RSI and MACD, we've spent quite some time in a positive side of things. So there's no doubt that we can get into the negative territory and have some extended bearish histogram action. All right, so we'll see, but it's definitely possible that there's going to be a lot of pain in this window here until 2023 for altcoins against Bitcoin. Now, their USD valuations will depend on what BTC does, so that'll be interesting to watch. Okay, so that's Ethereum. Has got momentum is towards the corrective stance, and the Ichimoku cloud is your only hope at this point. Breaking down below that is definitely bearish for 6 months, let's say, if not a bit more. Yeah, cool. Okay, that's Ethereum. Let's move back into some of our earlier ones. Let's go to NEAR against BTC and take a look. What is the action here? Okay, a quick breakdown of this uptrending channel. Price then proceeds to, at the big dump week, it holds support at the horizontal level. Okay, wicks way below down, even way below the Bollinger Band. Now the price is just continuing to push that lower end of the Bollinger Band down. So my sense is that we get below this Ichimoku cloud formation, and I think we come to like these kind of price levels, and you're lucky if you're holding these levels along with this wick that you have here. So I think down is the way. Now, maybe it's going to bounce first and then find resistance and then come back down. We'll see. I don't know. But I mean, momentum wise, again, it just looks like it can spend some time in the negative territory. And yeah, this bearish divergence was wise to heed that warning. It wasn't a bearish divergence, was it? Nope, technically not. Yeah, so whatever. Okay. Interesting. I wonder. It still took. It was. Sorry, it was maybe a bearish convergence then. Okay, bearish convergence. Whatever. Not as big of an indicator, I guess. So either way, horizontally, I think we're going to carve out this level as the next consideration. And yeah, let's see the price try and hold this type of zone here between this upper and lower. If it can accumulate through there, that's amazing. Look, we're at a halfway point right now too, so we're at that 50 level. So I think it comes back down to test this lower level here at 0001, 0012, whatever, that kind of thing. All right, and I mean, there's also good enough likelihood that the price comes and tests all the way down here and tries to figure out if it indeed is going to make a higher low. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take some retracements and get a sense of levels. So if we're going to take a retracement of this move, we get 78.6 is down at this price cluster here at the upper end, and roughly the mid end is the 88.6. If we're taking from the low of lows, then yeah, 78.6 is right in that middle there. 88.6 would be a really nice, beautiful one-to-one move with this action here from low to high, and 88.6 from this low to high. So that'd be an interesting level. So I think this zone here is totally feasible and reasonable. So I think we're going to put our bear market move right in between the two. And there you go. There is our near to BTC bear market move. And if we consider, yeah, again, that momentum, it just looks like it could definitely spend time, at least 3 months into August, September. But most likely the way that these momentums work is that they get down and yeah, maybe they turn back up, but they need a bit of time to even out before, if you're lucky, to get higher. Now, if you're Bitcoin, well, or some incredibly incredibly strong altcoin that is able to find its own bull market. So if you're in a bull market, different story. You know, the momentum can quickly turn back up and go higher. But if it's generally a corrective trend, then yeah, you're going to be finding some sort of flattening first, and that definitely can take to 2023, if not, you know, even into 2023 Q1, Q2. And that'll depend if NEAR is going to come back to its previous price levels. We know that from history that an altcoin doesn't necessarily come back to its all-time highs, and we'll see that with price charts like Monero and others. Okay. So speaking of which, so that's the idea of NEAR. I think this is a decent level to look out for in the longer term correction, and that's like at well, it's like 7,000 satoshis. Okay. That's it for now. That makes sense because this would be like a mid-level right here. We look at it like that, roughly mid-level. And let's see. Yeah. And then you would have this, you know, this kind of low-high range. And in fact, well, this was the between 78.6 and 88.6. So depending on what kind of range we're going to end up with. I mean, if we really want to take the this low high range type of move, that seems fair. So anyway, that's kind of where it's at with NEAR, and I think that's where we're going to leave it. With Rune against BTC, Rune has also broken down heavily after making a move to the upper end of this local range, and now back down to the lower end, and actually looks like making lower lows back into this downtrending slope like below it. And yeah, is this horizontal level going to hold, or again, are we going down here? So let's look at a retracement. And roughly we are currently at about near 78.6. It's nearing the 78.6 mark. I feel like 88.6 is more reasonable and more likely. That's the lower end of the Bollinger Band as well. So maybe that's what happens. But strong enough, if it gets a 78.6 retracement, that's great. That's really much stronger, especially the crypto market. However, having said that, it looks like there definitely could be just more flattening, in which case that flattening momentum could be a draining of the price to the lower end. We are making lower lows on the RSI, and it is below 40. So that means there's more room to the downside. We'll see what that looks like though. Does it get a temporary bounce here, or was this the temporary bounce here? And then it'll just keep going down. We'll see. But at this point here, around what, 5,600 satoshis, this price level here, that's about 88.6, I think. And so that seems like a reasonable level as well. Yeah, exactly. If not the 78.6, which is at the lower end of this box. So other options for this altcoin is to make lower lows than these posted lows here. That is a common theme for many of them. So we'll see what ends up happening with Rune against BTC. My sense is there's a chance that it will get a higher low, maybe an 88.6, and if it's lucky, a 78.6 retracement of this whole structure of the move up. And yeah, that'll be interesting to watch what happens. It's already had quite a decent amount of correction in relation to the move up. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, but I get the sense that its momentum might not need until 2023, maybe, or if anything, it could move, you know, as one of the earlier ones if it's got strength. Yeah, okay, let's see what happens. That's Rune against BTC. So we're also going to check Atom against BTC. Let's take a look at that one. That one's gotten hit hard as well. down to this horizontal level, not even quite yet down to this horizontal level, but definitely pushing the lower end of the Bollinger Band after breaking down. It was in this uptrend, and then the momentum just completely broke down to the downside. And we see that here on this oscillator, this momentum indicator. So there's definitely room for more. I mean, here's September of 2022, years into 2023. So, if you are lucky enough to start turning positive, you're already at September right here. So, and that, at least that's something, but I get the sense that it still needs to go down and flatten out, but maybe not. Maybe Adam's going to be, again, one of those that has some sort of bigger turnaround against BTC. But again, just looking at the timeframes and the scale of things, yeah, this could be in corrective mode for another 3 to 6 months. And it wouldn't necessarily be surprising. Now, corrective mode could also includes accumulation mode. So where will the accumulation happen? That's the big question. And so this level becomes very nice and important because, yeah, you don't have much below that before you start dropping to the all-time lows. And in terms of retracement, currently from the low to high, we're okay. 78.6 would be at around that level. So if you can get there and get a bounce, that's good. If you get to 886, that's still decent, because I bet that 88.6 relates to, man, we'll see. 88.6 is not as nice as the 78.6 in this case, because you've got this price action here. So anyway, we'll see. Maybe Adam starts making the lower lows. I mean, these things are also possible, but overall, it seems to have a horizontal aspect to it. If we want to give a high here, and well, where's your low? I mean, that's the thing is, I guess we do this for now. We'll see if it gets below that. Anything's possible in these altcoin markets against Bitcoin. All right. Next, let's turn to Matic. Matic looks like it's breaking down below this box level that we had given. And so, yeah, it looks like it could fall more. Now, it's one of the closest to being in the oversold level, but you could oversell for a month or two, like going down and come back up and going back down. 3 months is here, 6 months is here. So maybe Matic turns around faster, but maybe not. And also, where is the turnaround? Because yeah, you got a bit of action here that could help on a daily level probably, but really it's all the way back down to here, which it's like 700 Satoshis. So that would also mean a longer drawn out, into 2023 or end of 2022 at the earliest, another 3 to 6 months, definitely. And maybe even 9. Like I could see some of these things taking 9 months. After such a big structure like this, it takes time to still do its thing. Like who knows what it has to do if it can do that, but it needs to find some sort of accumulation phase again before it can find the next launch phase. If it will get it, this is against BTC. What will it do against BTC? Will it make challenges of its all-time highs or not? So let's see. So yeah, I think based on these charts with altcoins, I think with including accumulations, we're going into 2023 against BTC for an alt season, which makes sense because you need a BTC season first usually. So seems reasonable and likely in that sense. Okay, let's get rid of this trend line. And this box, I think we are okay to get rid of it. If it holds, that's cool. And if not, we're at the lower end of the Bollinger Band. And I think if we take, let's say low to high, this would probably be a 78.6. Oh no, 88.6. So the 88.6 is that 700 level we've carved out roughly. So hey, maybe you get a 78.6, but I think 88.6 is the strong bounce for Matic, and that's down here. And then you need your accumulation time. Is it possible that it just bounces quick and goes into a bull move? Yes, but in that case, I don't know how high you get. Maybe you only get to this level here, and before you fall back down. And so we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch. Okay, so stick around for more with Matic. Then we get to Avalanche, and just interestingly, weak here, breaking below this uptrend channel, and we saw what happened in others when it does that. So maybe you'll get a retest of above, but looks like you're trying to come further down. Maybe you get to this price level here. Okay, that seems to be the next target, but yeah, Avalanche against PTC breaking down. Well, in terms of momentum, wow, yeah, it's also very close to the oversold level, but it's definitely in bearish territory of momentum, and it's been bullish for a while. It's been in the positive territory for a while on the weekly chart. So this negative momentum, this is strong negative momentum. It's going to take some time to like turn around and flatten out and find its next potential energy move up. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, well, like with all of these altcoins, which ones come back and challenge their all-time highs? Does Avalanche come back down to here and make an even bigger pattern that resembles some sort of like neutral triangle, or aka head and shoulders? I mean, these things are possible. I was wondering if we would get one here. So maybe you still do. Maybe you still do. But either way, it looks like momentum is not on the favor of Avalanche against BTC. Especially you're breaking down this momentum here. This is the momentum I'm talking about. Already we've broken down this topping formation. You know, just maybe it's ready for a bounce, but overall, this stuff needs more time and it needs more price correction. And let's take a look here. If we go from here, we're looking at, yeah, we're still looking at this level here as a 78.6 and 88.6. So it's like a 40 to 50, yeah, like 40 to 50,000 Satoshi level. And if we're going from these lows here, and we're talking about coming back towards this lower than this level here, which in that case, I mean, that's really broken down. So we'll see how that ends up working. If you can come to this 44,000 level and bounce there for Avalanche, then I'd say you have a good chance to accumulate at higher highs, and that's very bullish, and you go higher. But it looks like in all in all, it looks like these levels are likely, and at best, these levels here. So let's carve that out now for Avalanche around here. Boom, let's give it that. And that is from these lows here, retracement. And then if we go from the lows here, we are retracing to 88.6 is this level, 78.6 is this level. So whatever, something in between is around there. It's just to give us a general zone, and then we can hone in if ever we need to. Okay, so that's that. We broke down from the topping formation, done. We are breaking down this channel, done. And now we are cleaned up on this chart. We are at this type of horizontal level, important, and it looks like it's breaking down below it. So we'll see if it can hold, but I'm going to get rid of it too and look for what's going to be the next move. Is it going to hold some support or not? Here, we broke down out of this one. Okay, yeah, there you go. There's Avalanche. Looks like it just needs a bit more time, but it can, you know, the turning relatively positive is possible, but this, yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch some of these price charts. Actually, wait, oops, I just did a wrong thing there. I just want to show with time analysis, like let's say we go from low to high with time analysis, we're talking, let's talk here. And it's like, I mean, 1-to-1 again is like 20 to the beginning of, near the beginning of 2023, it's the end of 2022. All right. So that would be a 1-to-1 from these lows to these highs. And that's just 1-to-1. And oftentimes corrections take longer than 1-to-1 from the low to high. The high to low is usually more than 1-to-1 if it's like a full-on correction. So that takes Avalanche into 2023 in terms of corrective moves and accumulation. Like the accumulation is going to be considered part of that. The corrective move dump down is usually faster and harder, and then accumulation takes a bit more time. Interesting. All right, cool. So that's Avalanche. So what these charts are doing is helping us, by going through all of them, is giving us an ability to get a sense of the overall market formation and the energy of the market in terms of its movements, the corrective movements, the impulsive movements. We are now looking at Solana on the weekly time frame, and this is here. Firstly, you know, looking at momentum. It looks like, again, this thing has been into the negative momentum for some time. It's renewing some negative momentum. They will get a positive momentum soon, but I think when it goes into this type of deep correction, when you've made moves up like this, then you come back down hard. It takes a bit of time to really get going again. And again, this is 2023 right here. So like at best, I think that's something that we can look for, is that kind of action with the momentum. And so, yeah, like maybe in terms of histograms, you know, we get something like this, and then it even goes positive, but then negative histogram again, and then who knows? From there, it's like we're into 2023. Maybe it's still a bit accumulation. Maybe you get a bit of a bump and then a dump, and getting ready for your next bull market, possibly. But again, all of these altcoins, it's never certain if they're going to reach their Bitcoin all-time highs against, you know, their all-time highs against Bitcoin, or if they're going to just keep bleeding further down. So Solana looks like, if anything, it could be a strong one against BTC in the next run, and it could have more day in the sun. We'll see what kind of RSI level it can hold. It's in the 30s, so it's in a bearish territory, but it could have like a rebound here. But again, seeing the energy of this action, yeah, like look, in the price action here, I see that as well as a decent possibility where, okay, so first we were looking at, you know, this kind of channeling here, where it was like, we're looking at this kind of channeling and just watching it happen, but then it breaks down here. So we get rid of that channel, and we keep now instead, you know, we see this as a topping formation, and we take that as a downtrending resistance because we have our price action right here. And then we can take, you know, after we start dumping down, we have, because we have our topping formation here. So here's our first lows, then our lower highs, now our lower lows. So we just follow with trend lines, and we have this expanding formation potentially. Now we have like, let's imagine that we make some sort of bottoming here. Maybe it's a little lower, you know, corresponding with the top end of this price action here. Okay, fine. But then at some point soon, even momentum wise, we start turning around, and maybe that gives us a rally, but not a very strong rally, you know, from low to high. But who knows what it looks like? Maybe it's lasted a month or two, and it's like kind of. But usually these things, when they go up, they don't go up that slow. They usually go faster. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe the turnaround is what takes longer, and then boom, you get a bit of a move up. You go towards this type of level here, and you find your resistance. Maybe you're lucky enough to get a little higher, and you're getting resistance here, but maybe the price action doesn't get that high, and then you turn around again. And look, you're still not into 2023, but again, you get a dump, and you get this like into this price cluster here. And where do you find your lows? You're really strong if you can find your lows somewhere in here. The higher, the better, obviously, in terms of strength. Otherwise, then you're asking for this level here to hold. That's the next type of level to hold for Solana. Let's make that. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. So I definitely see this potential for price action to work, but then the big question is that enough? Does it then find some sort of accumulation range? And then does it go? Like, look, you're already, I mean, you're well into 2023 at that point. Here, you're into 2023. And so this seems reasonable. It's like Q1, Q2 easily in 2023, if not Q3 of 2023, or Q4. And with altcoins, maybe they do end up going down lower before they find their next bull run in 2024, 2025. I mean, anything is possible, but that seems a little bit longer than expected. So we'll see, but I definitely see this type of action as possible. And this would be super bullish if Solana could form like this. The other option is if, let's say, it you know, whatever, who knows, maybe it doesn't find its low there and it tries to find it here. So that's also strong. And again, it looks like it goes towards probably 2024 or end of 2023. That's just what this one looks like. Now, who knows, this could just be these charts, these ones that had the massive bull runs in this cycle. Maybe they are done for a while against BTC and they need more time. And there will be other alts that come into the light and have the big you know, bullish moves. We'll see. We'll see. And then in terms of time analysis, let's just give it a quick go here. Low to high, we'll take this high. Okay, you're already at 1-to-1, so you know, anything around here is totally fine. And then by the time you're past the 2-to-1 ratio, is definitely a nice potential for accumulation zone. This is into Q2, so this is the beginning of 2023 would be 2-to-1, so that's great. And then into 2023 Q2, Q3 is around here. So that's pretty cool. You know, that could totally be a zone, and that would allow this level to hold for Solana, because time would be longer than price moving down. The time would allow for that corrective action, which would be accumulatory and reaccumulation, you might consider it. So that'll be interesting. Okay, beautiful. Well, maybe not reaccumulation, because it's, anyway, I don't want to just parse the words. Who cares? Okay, so there's Solana. There's the general idea. That's time analysis. And if we go to price analysis and we just look at retracement levels, I mean, that would be strong to stop at the 50% level retracement. But this also gives reason to say, oh, wow, 78.6 or 88.6 are also possible and reasonable and more likely than not in some instances. So why not this instance? So let's throw that down there in terms of the 78.6, 88.6 level. And 61.8 is nicely, 61.8 is nicely above this this price action here. So who knows? But yeah, the 50% is like, that would be ideal if you can bounce here and find your accumulation at that 50% level. Huge. That would be a good sign for Solana. So we're going to see what happens. Okay, that's it. Let's get rid of this. It has broken down below that some time ago. And there we are. There is Solana general idea. I hope that makes sense. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Let's move on. We've got the also monthly roundup coming soon at the end of May. Okay, let's take a look at FTM getting more weakness. It broke down below this horizontal level, and now you can see it's retesting it at this week, but it is weak enough that it's not showing the potential to hold up here and close higher. So most likely we're coming down to this level down here. That's all I can say about that for now, other than you definitely have more opportunity to continue in the negative momentum, relatively positive, but still, you know, in this negative territory, kind of flattening out. And when momentum flattens out, the price can still fall. And yeah, like RSI could definitely continue lower. It's in the bearish territory. So I get the sense more of a full retrace is in the cards. And then the thing is, after you make a line down like this is a pretty straight line down. After you make a line down like this, you don't just like go back all the way up to all-time highs. I don't, especially against Bitcoin. It's not how it works with these price charts. Maybe you get some moves like that, but you know, you eventually, like, you're looking for some sort of evening out of things, and then you can, like, if you're lucky, then you can go. In fact, if this is going to happen, you're most likely going to get something like this. That's if you're lucky, and then maybe it wouldn't even go that high, but whatever. It needs this kind of time for this price action to sort, you know, to even out, especially when you get such a strong move down like this. Like, I think this is way too early. I don't think this happens. I don't think it looks exactly like this, but you never know. Like, look, it goes up, it goes down, and up, it down, and it just, these prices are pretty wild. So, but this takes us into 2023. So maybe this one is more of a 2020 and or mid of 2023, end of 2023 into 2024 type thing, because the ups are fast, but the downs are slow usually. So you know, usually it looks more something like that. But then again, with Phantom, these downs are pretty fast. They're down moves. So whatever, we'll see. But this makes a bit more sense. It needs more time to spread out, especially after this type of strong move down. And if we look from low to high here, see in terms of, let's just take from that candle. It's a rough estimate here. Well, 1-to-1 is into 2023, 2-to-1 is into 2024. And really, does FTM ever get back to its all-time highs? Who knows? Maybe not. We shall see. But this is definitely a big mountain right here, big peak, just like a single. It's just a massive move up and down. Incredible. Okay, let's get one more sense of retracement levels. So if we take this level here currently as some local lows, and we go to the all-time highs, we're already turning at that 88.6% retracement. But if we're going to come from down here, then we're only at the 78.6, and the 88.6 looks real nice and ripe for price action. So looks like you definitely could call for more downside on FTM, but you know, it could be up first and then down. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's my general thoughts on FTM and market energy. Okay, let's move to DOT against BTC. DOT against BTC holding still within this type of downtrending channel, roughly, and it's holding at this horizontal level here. So we shall see what it can do. Momentum-wise, it has a good chance of turning into some positive momentum, and that would possibly provide a bit of a relief rally, maybe up to these levels here. before finding another move down. And maybe DOT is ready to find accumulation at higher lows. That would be brilliant. Let's just look at, boom. Wow, nice 78.6 level. If you're finding your accumulation zone here, this is great, 78.6, and then even a lower down, you're at 88.6. Fine, maybe that's on the next leg down of a bigger accumulation zone. That would be huge for DOT because you're making higher lows, and that's all you really want to do against Bitcoin, is make higher lows. And then the next thing you want to do is make higher highs. So if we want to take time analysis for DOT and look from, let's say, this low here to this high here, we are beyond 1-to-1. We'll be at 161.8, and then 2-to-1 is the end of 2022. So I get the sense that the energy of this chart also allows for that move maybe a bit sooner, some relative bullishness in this chart. Although RSI doesn't say so yet, but you know, it doesn't have to go to oversold. All right, so that's DOT. That looks interesting. Now, all these charts against BTC are their very own creature. I have others that I want to do, but I don't know, are we gonna get through them all now? Okay, let's take a look at XMR. XMR is another one that's, it's trying to make higher lows, okay? Actually higher lows here than it is here, but just overall, this general structure here is to make higher lows than the previous all-time lows that are in this chart. If we look more locally, XMR, it is above that downtrending resistance, but it's getting resisted by the upper end of the Bollinger Band. This most recent candle here this week, it's a little weak. It's getting rejected at the Ichimoku cloud, top of the Bollinger Band. It's not really beating these price levels, so it might have lost momentum. You know, it bounced hard off of this move down, bounced hard up. So maybe it's losing momentum, is going to come back down, just like all the others. And I guess the momentum indicator would say the same. And so, yeah, look, I mean, consider some of those other charts and now look at this and see what ends up happening on a weekly time frame against BTC. Now, having said that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen to the other ones, but yeah, I mean, you're at a significant resistance here. I don't know if you're going to hold this for Monero. It looks like you're going to come back down and continue. Now that's a little bit weak because when you have a move down, then this up move, and then this down move as support, and going back up, what you really hope for is continued movement up so that you can challenge these previous levels. You want to challenge these previous levels on a double bounce like this, like a W formation like this. You want to go up to the W top, at least near it. If not, like ideally, you want to get beyond it. So stopping here only for a little bit of time, you know, maybe into 2023 here, but then you want to go higher, and you definitely want to make higher lows. You do not want to be coming down to challenge these levels again. That's definitely a lot more weak. So we're going to see what Monero is here. Which way is it going to go? It has potential. Monero definitely has potential, but be safe out there. It looks like a little bit of weakness first, probably, but we'll see. We'll see. You got this Ichimoku cloud there to watch out for. You got a 200-week moving average. You just got a lot of price to fight through as well. So we'll see. This is against a Bitcoin price chart, so it's always interesting to watch what happens. But this is a weekly price charts, so it takes more time to unfold. Okay, let's go to the classic Doge as well. And yeah, we were wondering, okay, are we going to have an accumulation at this level, at this zone? Or is it going to move lower? And I think actually probably it's going to move lower. It just seems like if everything else is going to, then it probably is too. Currently, yeah, I was wondering like, okay, does this zone become accumulatory and you just accumulate here? But here's all the way to 2023. So that would be quite the accumulation. And that would be really strong. It'd be like doing a flagpole move, you know, and like you just, it's difficult to hang in the air like this, but at least I guess you're above this price action and somehow it gives you that support. But if we're looking for a retracement from the previous run, from those lows, yeah, okay, you know what, that'd be so strong if you're getting a 78.6 here. But here, down here is the 88.6, so that's possible. If we're just taking it from this level here, then you're near the 88.6 already, but no, I like taking it from down here for now. Interesting, Dogecoin. This is going to be one to watch against BTC. Not because I'm thinking it's bullish per se, like, look, you're about to potentially make a bearish MACD cross here. But I think that it has a chance to just accumulate. And then if it does, then it's going to go higher. Now, the danger is that this is a redistribution here. And instead of accumulating, it comes back down. And then it has to really, you know, take its time. And that's actually looks more like a BTC altcoin chart. So yeah, this is totally possible. I'm not necessarily saying to accumulate Doge. That's not, but I guess that's just because I'm not a Doge accumulator. But if you would accumulate it, like, these are good levels to do it. It's just that it's just, I don't know, off of this candle here, you would want it to come and test the 20-week moving average, and it didn't. So that's a little too weak for my taste. And you're about to potentially make a bearish MACD cross. So just doesn't look like it's time yet. And it looks like it might need to go lower in price. Okay. And I mean, it's considerable, because from here, it's another, what, 50% maybe at best. So there you have a Dogecoin. I think we are gonna just continue with XRP here. Yeah, XRP, similar to Monero, it wants to stay above previous double bottom, although it's not exactly the same time frame of the double bottoming, but still, though, it's showing weakness, and now it's starting to break down the lower end of the Bollinger Band. So what kind of negative momentum are we going to see here? Is it going to sustain? Is it going to turn back around? It's relatively weak. You're looking for this to be a deviation below this horizontal level. Otherwise, yeah, further weakness ensues for, what did I call it? It's XRP. I hope I said XRP at first. Anyway, that's XRP. Okay, let's take a look at Link. Link is getting tossed down hard, and it's not doing too well. Once it got below that trend line here, well, I was already suffering for a while, but then it showed the weakness with the 200-week moving average, getting rejected from below, and now you're lucky if you get down to this level and get support. I mean, you're even more lucky if this is their lower end, but it looks weak. It looks weak. It looks weak. Now look at all this negative momentum. Maybe it'll get a bit of a bounce, you know, here or there, but I think you're breaking down to much lower levels. I won't be surprised if you get all the way down here. For sure. Against BTC, yeah, for sure. I won't be surprised if you get down here. Anyway, so that's your chain link looking bearish. Having said that, well, no, it's not yet oversold, and it, you know, oversold and bounce and whatever and accumulate and keep falling down as the momentum turns up and turns down. It's not looking great, not even looking good for Link against BTC. Now for BNB as well, you know, it's finally showing potential weakness here. We'll see how this week rolls out for the candle. and it showed a lot of strength on this rebound here, but that takes a lot of momentum from buyers, and it's hard to keep fighting against it. Now you're at the top end of the Bollinger Band. Let's you're at the top end of the Bollinger Band now. You know, you've broken down from this uptrend. Okay, you broke below it, and you just keep getting rejected by it, even though you're riding it up. But it looks like, you know, it's not going to find that trend again. Now you did break above this, but maybe that's just temporary and it's not going to matter. Maybe it will, but we'll get rid of that for now. Now you're at the top end of the Bollinger Band. Can you hold above the 20-week moving average? That's above this price cluster here. That's pretty strong. Otherwise, you're coming back down, and most likely you're coming to test this Ichimoku cloud because you're narrow on the Bollinger Bands. Why not come test this Ichimoku cloud? But maybe BNB is going to be the only one that finds a new high. It has just made a bullish cross, MACD cross, the last week or two weeks. So I mean, the charts don't need to come all the way into the negative with the MACD and signal lines, but you know, BNB did have quite some negative momentum already throughout this time from this whole 2021 timeframe. So, and then the price stayed relatively horizontal and accumulatory. So in that case, like there is a chance that BNB could start running, but there's also a chance that it just, you know, has a little bit of positive momentum here, and then it turns over and you get more negative momentum, and what does that end up looking like on a price chart? It looks probably like the price going down to this levels here, the Ichimoku cloud. But yeah, compared to Ethereum, BNB is the one that is at its all-time high cluster, and it's, you know, it's still in a higher neutral level of RSI, so it's not necessarily in a bearish momentum quite yet. And yeah, so you got this Ichimoku cloud there, and so that's BNB. The only thing is, candle-wise, we'll see how this week closes out and see how it can play against this Bollinger Band and 20-week moving average. But considering this is still weaker structure because it's lower highs than this, so we'll see. All right, that's BNB. And next we'll take a look at Track. Track is below the Ichimoku cloud. Track is supported by the 200-week moving average and this horizontal level. It's getting rejected by this horizontal level though. We're going to get rid of it. Just clean it up a bit. So yeah, there you are with Origin Trail. Maybe it's time for accumulation here. Maybe Origin Trail is ready for some accumulation. It looks like it could, and that would be very strong. But the longer you're testing this 200-week moving average, the more chance you're going to go below. Maybe it'll just be a deviation and you can get above. It's fine, but right now I think that the general path for Origin Trail is going to be sideways. We'll see. Now that's sideways within, you know, within some downs and ups. But the question is, yeah, what's going to happen at the 200-week moving average? That's basically the only consideration, other than, you know, yeah, I think this is a strong level, and if it can hold there, then that signals long-term bullishness. And then the next question becomes, does the price action challenge the previous all-time highs? And in which case, does it get higher than the all-time highs or not? And that's for consideration for later. Yeah, you know what? You're just challenging these high 30s. So maybe you're going to get into a bit more of a bearish momentum. And so, yeah, maybe you do break below 200. But then if you start having to come down to this low end here, that's tough. That's much more bearish down there against BTC. So see what happens with origin trail. You want to stay above this level or only deviate below and then reclaim it back above. That's the 200-week moving average, and gives opportunity for a nice accumulation shape. And then who knows? But here's 2023. So a good case for origin trail is some sort of accumulation in here until 2023 is great. Then you can go higher. I mean, that would be huge. Maybe within there you get a bump up somewhere. I don't know, but if you do get a bump up, then it'll probably take a bit more time, which is fine too. You can get into 2024 before you get your, or even 2025 really, before you get your next like all-time high challenges. Wild. So yeah, 2022 to 2023 looks like a decent time frame to watch out for. All right, that's origin trail. Oh, Darrow took a dump down, took a bit of a beating. Yeah, down towards the lower end of this channeling move. And I mean, it's arbitrary really where to put the channel. Do you want to put it down here? But I think supporting it where there was previous price action is okay as well. Whatever, it's just a channel. We broke out of this horizontal zone though. Couldn't break it to the upside. Did break it to the downside. Below the Ichimoku cloud now. So I'm gonna get rid of this and just say there's room for more negative momentum. This is an important level to hold. And if you can't hold that, then we're coming down here. And that's definitely possible against BTC for all of these things. But for any alt that's really strong and it's going to continue higher, then this is a good level to be holding and accumulating. Maybe even down to here, like even this could be a good level for that. Because if we really want to take a low to high retracement, you're at 78.6 at that level. Like that's decent, let's say, for an altcoin to bounce at this level on a retracement. That would be very decent. Now, in terms of time, let's say we go low to high here, low to high. Well, you're at 1-to-1 now, and 2-to-1 is at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. So yeah, if you can come down to this level here, I mean, it sucks. This is another 50% or more, 60%, whatever, downside against BTC. So that's a lot. But if you can come down here and hold, then that's setting up really nicely for another move up. At least you would hope so. So you make lower highs. Make higher lows. Higher lows, and then the next question is, do you make lower highs or can you make eventually a higher high? That's always the challenge against BTC. So there's Darrow. ICX is making all-time lows against BTC, breaking, or at least with wicks. So the lower end of this box is this all-time low wick. And so now we're wicking below there and it's showing weakness, but there is a potential to turn around here if it can, you know, maybe not. And in which case, then it's just forming that alt pattern, which just makes lower lows against Bitcoin longer term. And that's a really tough pattern to break out of. So we're gonna get rid of this midway level here. Actually, no, for now we'll leave it at this. Okay, so yeah, ICX is struggling here at the lower end of this range. Okay, we'll see what happens. Definitely, you know, it's hard to say with these momentum indicators. It's potential that it could turn around at any time, but it's also just weak overall, you know. In terms of the market participation, it's tough to say. Look, you've got Theta. Theta is broken down severely against BTC. Still within this type of down channeling, but definitely at the lower end of it. And They were broke heavily below this 200-week moving average. You've been in negative momentum for quite some time, so maybe it does have some ability to turn around, but where? Does it have to still fall all the way down here first? Or maybe it's just going to deviate, bounce back up, reject at the 200-week, and then come back down further. That's possible. It's definitely possible. Look how high it is compared to where it came from. And against BTC, that's always a risk. Wow, that's like up and down. And so what? You get a bounce here. Maybe you just then keep coming down more. And then you got to accumulate. And this is into 2023. So yeah, I think that's totally possible for Theta. It's looking weak enough. Now, does it go all this way low? I don't know. Let's see what kind of retracement we get. You're at a 78.6 now, so that would be nice. And here's the 88.6. So 88.6 looks like a good level for a bounce. It's all of this. But that means it's another 30% or so. But I mean, look how far you've fallen by now. I mean, if you don't have a plan with this, then I don't know what you're doing. We're looking to get oversold on Theta. So I think we'll get a turnaround at some point soon. But what does that even look like? Maybe it's just a challenge of the 200-week moving average if you're lucky. But I don't know if you're going to beat that. Okay, there's Theta. There's a potential path for Theta. Let's look at its rhyming namesake, ADA. And ADA has also taken quite a beating. And it is now, looks like it's breaking below the 200-week moving average after, breaking down below, but then shooting back up, just like a lot of the other alts during this week price action, the weekly, like WEEK, this week's price action. But then it would just, the negative momentum, the down pressure just continued. So this week was just temporary buying momentum, but yeah, you're looking to get oversold on ADA. You're not there yet. So this stuff could take some time. Looks like we very likely could make it down to this price zone here. That would be a great level to hold, but then this 200-week moving average, like once you get below that, that's a tough thing to do. Let's get rid of that for now. So maybe ADA can find a bounce here. We'll see. It has also been in negative momentum territory for a decent amount of time now, but it looks like it still needs to kind of flatten out, and then it needs to crawl back up. And that whole thing, the crawling back up, at best you're there in 2023. Like let's say you do turn around and let's say it's decent and you actually crawl back up, like where are you? Maybe you're here in 2023, and then you're down again. And are you lucky enough to like get higher? But so it's going to be tough for these price charts. Some of these price charts are really, some of these price charts are really strongly broken down, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, and in terms of retracement, what did we say here? Yeah, 88.6 is this zone. So definitely coming, looks like it wants to come back down there, and I don't see why not. And now in terms of time, let's just be generous and take it from this low here and go to the high. We're just at the 1-to-1. So 2-to-1 is here, beginning of 2023. So just like many others, I mean, it makes sense that they would have similar timeframes because their momentum's moved in similar times. And if they had similar bull markets and toppings, then looks reasonable. So there you go for ADA. Okay, let's look. I think that's all we're going to do for now. We can pick up some more later. Other than we're going to look at KMD, which is broken below the 1,000 level and is struggling below there, hanging around the 777 level. But yeah, that's a weak price action, pushing lower into the Bollinger Band. broke below that 1,000 level. So what's next for KMD? RSI is into oversold levels, so that's interesting. You got WebDex coming up eventually, and it's going to have more integration stuff. So we'll see. Does that give a boost to the KMD price? I don't know. You got this negative momentum now starting. You got a bearish MACD cross. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. But it has been a long, slow grind back to this neutral level for KMD. And to be honest, I see a potential for a turnaround and to start moving higher in the price because, yeah, you made such a long, struggling journey and now you're flattening out at this level. Well, what's next? Okay, maybe it's more down. Of course, maybe it's more down, but maybe next comes some bullish action up. I don't know. I'm not saying it has to be in this time frame at all. Like this is not even, here's the beginning of 2023. So yeah, maybe it is like some week now. I don't know what it looks like. But at some point, do you get a pop higher of significance? And in that case, is that correlated with like different market participant activity? So we'll see. I do think we get moves like this, but to what degree? Is it going to just fizzle at 3,000 Satoshis or even lower next time? Which, in that case, it would still be a 3 or 4x, from where it is now at 700, 800 Satoshis. So, yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with KMD price chart, but there is potential. There is definitely potential, but there's also, this is against BTC. So there's also potential for it to just continually bleed forever and just be this completely deflationary type of move. Where BTC is just too strong against altcoins, and in this case, Komodo. So we'll see about that. But I think that the MACD momentum says that there is still hope. There is still hope. Okay. And then the Pirate Chain price chart, similarly. Yeah, the thing is against Bitcoin, it's just so difficult for these altcoins unless they have a really strong market and market participants, like you see with BNB. It's just much more difficult for them to sustain and higher lows and then to make higher highs against BTC in subsequent market cycles. However, some of them do, and we're going to see what happens with Pirate Chain. This channeling here is not relevant. So we're going to see this horizontal level. It is an 88.6 retracement level from these lows down here. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. If it comes back down and tests and then goes higher, that would be huge. That would be a very good sign of strength. The momentum wise here, you had a big move up, you had a big move down, you got your little move up, you're going to have a little move down, hopefully. And then what? Maybe it's just another little and little. Maybe it still needs more time. And then you're into the end of 2022, into 2023. And what happens then? Maybe it just keeps staying a little for a while. You saw those other price charts. That's possible. The other possibility is eventually you get a bull market. But what does that look like? And who knows? But yeah, in terms of timing, you could see this going into 2022, end of 2022, beginning of 2023, for sure. Why not? And what does that mean for price? That means you're lucky if you're holding this horizontal level here. Definitely means you're lucky for holding that horizontal level. Because here is the lower end of the Bollinger Band, and you broke down pretty strongly. Yeah, you got a bit of support at 20-week, but it was not enough, not even significant. It just broke way back down. So you went lower end of the Bollinger Band, not only the top end of the Bollinger Band, but it was a bit bullish as well. You expanded them. So now top end of the Bollinger Band, the lower end is down here. Could definitely come down to this level, which is previous highs over here. So these highs, which are not necessarily all-time highs, but these highs are significant enough. So this zone here is potentially in play, which is like 1,000 Satoshis. And of course, it can go even lower than that. But if we take a trend line from there, you get that type of move. We'll see. I don't know if that's the trend line to even consider or care about. I think it's more so this kind of horizontal level, but it doesn't really have much. It just got this little bit of price support here, and that's it. So unfortunately, it looks like you could definitely have more downside on the pirate chain and look for levels of accumulation. Where is that going to be? It's hard to say, but lower end of the Bollinger Band is a good indication. Yeah, just getting into a bearish territory here, but it did turn around before, in this case, around here, around 36. So maybe it'll get to do that again. We'll see. And then we'll have a better indication. All right. Maybe when you get WebDex from Atomic Dex Komodo and you get Pirate Chain integration to the Atomic Swaps and maybe even the Bitcoin Lightning Network, that might be coming within this time window. Who knows? I don't know. But if it does, that could be part of an accumulation process and then a move higher. We'll see. But it's always tricky against the BTC price. That's for sure. As we see with all these price charts, it's hard to maintain against Bitcoin. So there you go. There you have it for now. I think that's it with the weekly roundup. Bitcoin is struggling on its own. If we look at it from a weekly price level, we see it struggling below the Ichimoku cloud down here. So the only hope is to finish this week candle, the weekly candle here, stronger, and then, or well, it doesn't have to be stronger, but I mean, some wicks would be nice. That's all. And if you can get a green candle this week, that would need you to close above 30,500. That's a tough call, especially as the end of the week. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. You're hoping for some rounding, but doesn't look solid yet for BTC. No, looks quite weak down at this level. But we'll see. We'll see what it can do. Even the momentum on Bitcoin looks like it needs more time to play out. So we'll see. But we do have on the time frame, we can compare wave lengths and maybe we get a turnaround in June. But what does that look like? Maybe it's only a bump up to this Ichimoku cloud level and then a further turn down. That's okay. Then you're talking about accumulation levels. The question is though, how far down does it have to go before it can find its bottoms and its accumulation level, reaccumulation level? All right, there you go. These are a bunch of altcoin price charts. I hope this has been good enough for you. And I will come back with more next time. Until then, yeah, we didn't do any of the USD price charts. But if you have any requests, then just let me know in the comments. Okay, until next time, wishing you lots of love, peace, and happiness. Goodbye.